Nothing can stop me, I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me, I'm all the way up. Show it what you want, show it what you need.
Mitch Sinnamon, 26, out of Melbourne. So parents put me into little athletics from a young age with my brother, which was really good. I was pretty into running. Favourite event would have been 100-metre sprint, of course. And then I got into boxing after that and a little bit of weight training, so your classic, your bench, your bicep curls. And then I was hooked onto boxing and sort of kept that up for a few years. Year 12, for example, I was training like 2 hours in the morning, going to school, then 4 hours every afternoon. Loved it. And then I kept that up for another year after that before joining the Navy out of school. And then, yeah, just got into that sort of style training. A lot of high intensity, a lot of high rep stuff. Train twice, 3 times a day. Every Monday I remember being 10 400-metre sprints, and then we'll do like some form of squatting session in the Arvo. And then it was just sort of, in a way, similar to how I'm training now without any structure. It was the opinion of more is better back then, but it was good. Like, it was good for building a good base. Like, and you're always trying to outdo your mates. I remember some of my mates went like, I think it was like 8 weeks straight without any rest day or any active recovery stuff. It was just who could smash themselves the most, and that's how you became the best. I got into CrossFit in 2010. One of the guys I knew from the Navy was doing it, and he invited me down to come do a session down at the cell. And yeah, just hooked. I was already doing similar training through the Navy, high intensity stuff, high reps, a lot of interval based training. And yeah, and then when I went down there, I just liked the idea of it. So yeah, just kept at it. All right, so I've lived in, I reckon, about 26 different places, 27 maybe. So I'm originally from Melbourne. I grew up there, and then so my mum lived over in the Geelong side of town in Victoria, and my dad was over in the western suburbs of Melbourne. And so I lived half there, and I was just alternating between. And then after that, I went to Sydney with the Navy. And then after I was finished up with all that, I went over to Perth. I lived in Perth for a few years. And then, yeah, I came back to Melbourne about 2-3 years ago now. And yeah, loving it. So I've travelled around a fair bit. Yes, so when I came over to Melbourne, I was at a gym called CrossFit Merciless over in the western suburbs. And it was good. It was good training there, and I had a good training partner, Chris Metcraft. And then like Schwartz had the reputation of being the gym that it is. And I wanted to sort of try to better myself as an athlete. I wanted to learn from the best, and I wanted to train around the best. So I was travelling out there every day, a bit of a distance from where I am. But yeah, it was good. So I was travelling out there sometimes twice a day, just to get the sessions in. Then I decided to make the move, and so I moved closer to Schwartz so I could focus more on my training, and that paid off. So I qualified individually 2014. I think I qualified 40th in the Open, so that was the year that you could qualify top 48. And then I think I finished like 20th at regionals, 21st. Yeah, and then as I started to progress a bit more, I kept training. Then the year after, I had surgery on my wrist, just due to an injury that I had from years previous. Broke it too many times, never healed properly, hurt it in the comp, and it just giving me a lot of drama. So eventually I got it squared away, cut open, and it's healed up perfectly. And then, but that was just sort of prior to the Open. So when the handstand push-ups came up, they smashed me, and then thrusters were a no-go. And so it just wasn't bad. But it was a blessing in disguise because it was good as well. Like, so I got to jump on the team, which I was lucky to do. And I got to go with those guys over there, and that was amazing. That was such a great experience. See, that's the thing, like, and I think it's quite smart actually. See, Benji doesn't really change too much. He still trains you as an individual. So you're still competing against each other constantly. And it was really good. So we're still very competitive against each other, but we were a lot closer. So we were more accountable to each other, like had to be here at this time, had to do this, had to do that, and it was really good. And so the intensity was up there, and we were smashing out sessions. And then occasionally we'll get together we'll say most Saturdays get together just to run through some previous team workouts. And you're always trying to, in a way, you're still competitive, like you're trying to push for each other, but still outdo each other. And so it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. And then same thing, we went to the States, still kept training as individuals with each other and still pushing against each other, because you're always going to have people who are going to be better than each other. So like you try to keep up with them for that, or try to get in front of them where you could. And then if it was something that favoured you, you try to just really stay in front. And then same thing, we'd hit a few team workouts together. But I think that's the best because if you train as a team all year round, you miss out on developing yourself as an athlete. And so the better you are as an individual, the better your contribution to the team will be. My experience from going in the team last year, we'll train out there and then you see the individuals and you see them on the other side of the fence and you're like, I want to be there so bad. And it just pumped you up and it was good to see the actual work ethic that came out of those guys. They were incredible. They were doing session after session, with team and stuff. You do a fair bit of work, but you get a lot of rest and the recovery was quite good. Whereas those boys, they were just smashing session after session, never knew what was coming, and they just came to sort of just kept resilient and just kept going and going. So it pumped me up for the next year. But it was just unbelievable. The atmosphere was incredible. Having the crowd around, even us competing out on the field, when you're out there and the crowd's just screaming at you, and you look around, you just see thousands and thousands of people. It's awesome. It's so much fun. I'd be lying if I said that my mind hasn't always wanted to qualify for the games individually, because that's why we do the sport. You always want to progress a bit further. You always want to do better than you can. I'm absolutely stoked that I qualified 5th, but I would have loved to come 4th, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st. You know what I mean? You always want to do better. I didn't have a change in mindset. I had a change in training partner and environment. So I started training with Kyle Frankenfeld, and that was probably one of the better things I've done for my training. So we'd be accountable to each other. The intensity would be really good with sessions, so we'd get the most out of each session. And it was just really good training. It made it a lot more fun. I started really going to see say specialists to help with my Olympic weightlifting, to help with my movement patterns, to help with my mobility, and putting a lot more work. I started treating it as a professional sport, whereas I did in the past, but I was outsourcing a lot more. And I found that really, really helped. So leading up to the Open, it was really good. I was training with Kyle twice a day. So Chase would come down occasionally as well when he wasn't working. Kieran would come down as well when he could. And it was really good. We were smashing our sessions, the same thing, keeping accountable to each other. The quality of the sessions were really good. So that was awesome. Then after the Open, I went away to WA for a month. I just needed a break from Melbourne. And that was really cool. So Jen Smith from CrossFit Games, she sort of took me in. And she's one of the best coaches I've ever known. She is phenomenal, and people actually. And she helped me out with a lot of my gymnastics and just sort of let me coach there. And it was good to have a bit of a break. And then when I got back, it was the same thing. I got back into hitting out hard sessions with Kyle when I could. It's just at that stage I was living in Deer Park, and it was about an hour and a half from Moorabbin, so it was a bit hard to go out there every single day. So I'd save the sessions where I really had to push to do them with him, and that worked out quite well. And then, going into the actual regionals weekend, I felt I reckon I had one of the best lead-ups I've had of any year. I felt really good. I felt mentally and physically really at my best. So leading into regionals, I really, really liked the events, especially on day one. That snatch workout, it was probably my favourite of the weekend. And strict muscle-ups is something that I've had a fair bit of experience with due to when I first, I just used to do a lot of them back in the day, and so I was pretty excited to get into that. And so I hit the snatch workout 3 times in training, and the first time just to get through it, the second time I knocked 4 minutes off my time, so I was pretty confident going to that. And I wanted to go and start the weekend in a good position. Day two was a little bit more interesting. I wasn't sure how I'd go. The wall ball one I knew I'd do quite well at, but then going into the pistol hang clean one, due to the weight being 50, and I thought I'd be a bit rounded from the pull-ups, mobility was a big issue, so I had it under my chin. I had to push my chin down on the bar to show that it was a good rep. But that wasn't too bad, so that I actually placed a bit better than I thought I was going to. I thought I was really going to bomb that. And then the deadlift one I placed, I thought I'd do okay at that. I think I finished up 7th in that, so it wasn't too bad. But day three was the interesting one. So I did not expect to do well in the event 6, which was the burpee one over the box. We hit it in training and we hit it quite well, but then considering the other guys, I thought everyone's just going to go so hard out of the gates, and then my handstand walks aren't my best movement. But once I hit that unbroken, I'm like, oh, no one would have gone unbroken. I look up and everyone was already on the roll. I'm like, oh, fuck. And so that was good. So I started up in the pace on the burpees, and I think I finished with a 4th place on that. So I was really happy with how I went on that. And then the last workout. So the last workout I was sitting second going into it, and I was pretty confident. Thrusters, same thing, due to a mobility issue with the front rack, I can sit a bar on my shoulders, but it sits in suicide grip, so I'm never aggressively fast with a 40 kilo thruster or 42.5. And legless rope climbs are actually a really good movement for me. I'm quite fast with them in training. Went out the gates, and they briefed us so much about not clamping the legs when coming down the rope. And so I ran that through my head. I've gone out there and I've hit the first round, that's fine, and I was keeping a good pace. I'm like, Khan was well in front, but he sprinted, and you knew he had that. He hit the workout out back quite fast, and he was ready to go. And so when I went out there, I was keeping a good pace. I'm like, all right, just got to keep this, and you can keep your position. And so I wanted to podium. And then I've jumped up the second round, and I've just clamped my legs on the way down, and I'm like, and I came down, and she's like, no rep, and I didn't realise I did it. And then so I jumped back up, and I think I did it twice. And I can't remember if I got the 1 or the 2 no reps. I just remember I was just cooked after that. And then so I've hit it, and I've run through to the end, and everyone was on the finish mat. And I remember the announcer saying that I had to come top 9 to secure my spot. And I had a look, and everyone was on the mat, and I'm like, that's it. I was like, oh, I didn't know how to feel. I'm like, and then I looked up at my mate. I'm like, oh, have I done enough? He's like, I don't think so. And I'm like, oh shit. Thought I didn't make it, and the first thing that went to my head, you've just wasted 12 months. All that work for just like a couple of seconds of mistakes, And because when I went into the weekend, I didn't know where I was going to place. Like, granted, I knew I'd do, well, when I say I knew in the least arrogant way, I thought I'd do well day one. I thought they're quite good workouts for me. I could hold my own. But I didn't know where I was going to finish over the whole weekend. And yeah, so finishing, when that workout finished, I was a little bit gutted with how I went, because I would have liked to have finished stronger, and I thought, that's it, that's going to be me coming sixth. And yeah, and then so it was lucky as well, because it wasn't long after, it was only a couple minutes after they announced it, and I heard my name, and I didn't expect it, and that was one of the greatest feelings. Like, my heart sort of stopped a little bit. I'm like, oh, because yeah, I was stressing out that I didn't make it, all that work. But yeah, so it turned out to be, it was incredible. Like, my body just got like that sort of tingly feeling, that sort of flooded. It was a bit of a shock. It's like when you get called out on the spot, and you get that bit of a shock feeling, like your butterflies and it sinks. And just walking out there, I just remember I threw my arm up, and I don't know why I did this. It's not really, it's out of character for me. But I threw my arm up, and I was pointing at, I was doing that thing, and I was pointing at my guys in the crowd, and then I just started doing a 360, and I just remember the crowd like getting louder for each section, and I'm like, that is sick. That's so cool. I've got there's video of that as well, but like that was probably one of the coolest moments that I've had since getting involved in the sport, or involved in CrossFit. It's an incredible feeling. As far as the lead up going into regionals, yeah, I got a little bit crook a couple of weeks before, as everyone does. You get run down from training, and the stress and the pressure, and it was fun lead up, but then I got a little bit sick. And then, so when we hit training, like, we're hitting sessions really hard, but the recovery between sessions was pretty rough. So we did like a bit of a regionals weekend run through with the workouts that we knew. And then, so when I actually went into regionals, I felt amazing. Like, I hit a workout and I recovered really well, and it didn't hurt as bad as it did in training. I remember I did the wall ball one with Colin. Both of us were on the floor for afterwards for at least 10 minutes, felt like we were going to throw up, like that lactic feeling. The other thing that I changed this year as well, like, I did a lot of mindset stuff. So before each day, I was down at the beach with the lads, and I was just sitting, when they were going for a swim, I was just sitting by myself on the sand, just doing breathing exercises, visualizing the workouts, and then just trying not to think of anything and focusing on my breath. And that, I feel that helped. That sort of kept me relaxed for the weekend. And I was having a lot more fun out there than in 2014, where I didn't know anyone. I was a bit stressed out, whereas this year I knew everyone. And like, even there's a moment in the second event, like, it was on the camera, and I was looking over, and I was just smiling. I remember looking over at Chris, and Chris is laughing, having a joke, and it was just good fun. Chris Hogan, yeah. So it was just a fun year. So Yami's taken charge of that. So I've been chatting with him once a week, which has been really good, and he's been helping me out just with a few little things. We've got a bit of a plan for the next 7 weeks. So when he comes up with, like, say, if you've got an Olympic lifting session, make sure you're going to see this person do this, or if you've got a strongman stuff, make sure you've organised this. So, and Kyle's been coming down and watching me train, and which has been really good. So, like, he'll say, pretty much, if Kyle says pick it up, I'll listen, because as far as, I don't think many people, like, he knows me quite well as an athlete, so he knows if I'm being soft or if I can push a little bit more, and so I generally listen. And also, I've changed my mindset to the sense that if I'm going to do something, if I start slowing down, I'm like, oh, this person's done this person's picked it up already, they're already at this point here, you've got to catch up, you can't fall behind. I want to go there and I want to hold my own. And so, especially like coming over here this week and training with James has been awesome so far. Like, we've done a few workouts and it's just been great. It's a lot of fun. And it's good training with someone in the same situation. Like, this is a rookie year for James as well. And so it's a lot of fun. Training's probably more fun now than it is for the Open and regionals, because with the Open, you've got to qualify for regionals. With regionals, you've got to qualify for the games. Like, now it's just go there and show them what you can do. The sun would be good. Melbourne's not the hottest of places at the moment, so we're just going into winter and it's freezing. And so I'm looking forward to getting sun, but I'm just more looking forward to getting amongst it. Just getting out on the field and actually having a crack. Like, the events, look, over the last few years, like, it's going to be challenging, it's going to be difficult, but it's fun. Like, it's fun. It's doing stuff that you don't get to do normally. Like, this out of the ordinary. Like, you look at, like, the triathlon from a couple of years ago, and then, like, the obstacle course and things like that. Like, you wouldn't do that in your everyday training. I guess if you programmed it in, you would, but I don't do that in my everyday training. So I'm looking forward to getting involved in that sort of kind of stuff and just seeing how other athletes operate. That's probably the main things I'll be looking forward to.